If Hailey Bieber has one hater, it's me.
If there was a brow trend, I have been through it.
Welcome back to another episode of Beauty Room Talk, Locker Room Talk, if it's Slade. I'm Ashley, and I am clocking in as Hailey Bieber's number one hater for her stupid trends. Makall, how are you?
I'm doing great. You guys, for this episode, Ashley has so much knowledge on the topic we're about to talk about, so it's going to be an awesome and fun episode.
And Makall knows a lot about the stuff that we're going to talk about too.
There's so many things that I didn't even think about that Ashley brought up, so there's so much information. We're going to talk about trends from like the beginning of makeup into today's day and age and how it kind of came to be, which is such an exciting topic. Even if you're not even into makeup, like history lesson. Are you excited?
A little history lesson for all the girlies, and we're also going to delve into the more modern ones. A lot of these trends that you're seeing today, these trends come and they go. They can come from 1800s, Victorian era, Edwardian era, whatever you want to call it. They can come from the early 90s. They come from everywhere. They die and then they come back. Right now, we're seeing a resurgence of Y2K, the low cut, the mini skirts. Honestly, you can even say the resurgence of the 2010s club era with Charlie XCX's Bra. So we're seeing a lot of that right now. So like I said, these trends turn like clockwork throughout the years, and many trends, especially the ones that have been trending in makeup recently, all thanks to Miss Hailey Bieber and influencers just like her. There are a lot of trends that come from the Black and brown communities that get remastered, renamed by influencers. The origins kind of get lost, so we just want to delve into that part first before we get into more of the fun. So perfect example of how this stuff happens. There's something, if you guys have seen anything from like maybe not Bridgerton, but any Regency era film or anything like that, right? They always have that weird hump on the back of their dresses. Okay, so that's a bustle. Perfect example of a lot of Black, brown cultures, body types, etc. kind of getting taken. The idea of the bustle came from Saartjie Baartman. I might be butchering her name. I'm so sorry. But she's a South African woman, and she was actually on display at a, for lack of a better phrase, freak show by William Dunlop. So she was forced into slavery by him. She was on display in Paris and London for these different like just people to see, and a lot of men flocked to her because she was like super curvy. You know, at the time that wasn't really like ideal. She had a huge backside and super curvy, and high society was really enamored and angered or obsessed with her body that they decided, at least the women, and there was a fashion designer in New York who decided that he was going to take her body type and turn it into a fashion statement for high society. I'm not going to name his name because honestly, screw that guy. Like, dude, weird behavior. Anyway, what the women in high society at the time were trying to do were they were trying to win back their favor of their suitors because they were all kind of obsessed with Saartjie. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering her name. I looked it up too. Baartman did end up suffering in her life, unfortunately. And while she suffered, everybody else took her body type and what she was put on display for and labeled as a freak or weird. They took it and turned it into a fashion statement. Now, we've seen that in later years. We've seen that with the chola makeup from a lot of the Mexican society, and I think with Mexican, Hispanic, generally just like California, more West Hispanic, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was on the East Coast as well. That was also taken, that was looked at as quote unquote ghetto, unsophisticated, things like that. And now here we are a couple of years later where you have Miss Hailey Bieber taking the dark brown lip and putting a clear gloss in the center and calling it, what does she call it? Do you know what it's called?
Like, I want to say it was like, no, it wasn't glazed donut. That was the nail, right?
That was the nail. Oh, it was the brownie lip, the fudge brownie lip.
Yeah.
So it was taken from the, like, please, this brownie lip idea was taken whether she intended to or not. She did not create something new with the brownie lip. I want to make that very clear. That was taken from Hispanic Americans and Hispanic immigrants from the 1980s and 1990s. It was part of the chola makeup. It was, honestly, Black women have been doing it for years and years and years and years before then. Again, it was looked at as unsophisticated, as ghetto, quote unquote. And now here we are where a white woman of high society, we can call it as it is doing it, and it's so cute and so sophisticated and so, and it's got a like a brownie lip name. Like, learn the origins of the trends, because a lot of the time the people that are creating them are not doing it on their own. If Hailey Bieber has one hater, it's me. If Hailey Bieber has no haters, I'm dead. That's it. She has done this time and time again, and this is not to sit here and slander Hailey Bieber. There are a lot of other influencers that do this too and don't give credit where credit is due when it comes to these trends that they're quote unquote creating. So it's just important to at least know the background of that stuff. Going back to Saartjie for a second, because she was like this big aspect of high society, right? Whether they loved her or hated her. I think it was in the early 2000s or something like that, or the late 90s. She was on display for many, many years at a museum. And it wasn't until the early 2000s or late 90s that they actually took her body out of the museum. So she was no longer gawked at by men and women alike for her body type. It was like really, really screwed up.
If you haven't heard about her story, like I highly, highly suggest looking it up. I had not even heard of the story until Ashley brought it up to me, and it's that she was actually taken out of the museum in 2002. Like that was not that long ago that we were, gawking at someone's literal body. And I mean, it reminds me of I see it all the time, like to be a woman is to perform. And it just, I don't know, it makes me sad. It makes me so sad that in the era that we're in now, 2002, I was literally alive. Like I was,
And like it's so crazy because we were alive, but we didn't even know about this. She was in display at a Parisian museum until 1974, but her remains were not buried until 2002.
what is that? Like, let that woman rest. Like, be so serious. So, if you
Yeah,
haven't
like
looked up her story, I 100% recommend checking it out because it goes as far back as 1974 and before then that we're using other people and other cultures to make our trends that we see like the rich and the famous do, like, but it is important to just give credit where it's due and be mindful and be tasteful about the trends that we choose to participate in.
before we move on to something less serious. Like we're gonna I promise this isn't gonna be as like heavy as I just started it off as, but kind of roping all of this together, right? So specifically when it comes to body types and body things like this, I said yes, trends change and things happen. Very abundantly saying this, your body is not a trend the same way Bartman's body, not a trend. Absolutely not. Please don't try and change what you look like based on what's trending. I've been seeing, what's it called? The Victoria's Secret body, quote unquote, is back, like the thigh gap and everything. Yeah, I think that it's like the Coke body.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
All the
It's
different things.
all of the things like Ozempic body, things like that. That's listen, your body's not a trend. Your body is your body. Treat it with love. It was real thin for a really long time. We're back to it being, I hate saying it this way, but quote unquote trendy for to be curvy and whatever. And like, but now we have something great with the body positivity movement where it's who gives a fuck what you look like. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, your body is your body and you're not a trend. You're a person and you were born with this. So make sure you love it.
Yeah, easier said than done, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh my God. Easier, way easier said than done. Coming from somebody who dealt with it for a long, long time. But
Right.
we love you. Less serious things now, I promise. I just wanted to like make sure that everybody knew, hey, half of these trends that we're seeing came from somewhere else. So now that I'm done with my history lesson, Makall is going to get into something called brow blindness.
I wanted to talk about there's a trend going on around that's just like blindness in general. Blush blindness, lip blindness, eyebrow blindness is the biggest one that I've been seeing. Brows have just had a history from way back into like skinny brows, no brows. Fluffy brows were really, really popular for a long time, and then it all kind of melts into one and goes back. I think skinny brows are actually coming back, which is crazy.
I don't hate them. I don't hate them. I wouldn't do it, but I'm kind of into it.
I don't hate them, but have our mothers taught us nothing?
I know. It's, you know what it is? You know what it is too? Is like how long it takes for the brows to end up growing back if they grow back at all.
They they don't. My mom
Yeah.
literally tells me all the time, she's like, "Why did I do this to myself? Why did I do that? I have these tiny little eyebrows and now they want to microblade them and tattoo them onto their face because they plucked them all out when they were our age."
Yeah.
I've got the world's biggest brows.
Same.
Got them from my mama. You know what I mean? Like,
She doesn't have them anymore, but I got them now.
yeah, I got them now. I mean, my dad's got huge brows too.
My dad had huge brows.
Yeah. We love a dad brow. Is that the new trend? Dad brow?
He took me. He's actually sorry. Quick sidetrack. He was the first one to take me to go get my eyebrows done. My mom didn't do that.
Girl, my
Yeah,
eyebrow journey has been real. Like, let's
same. I was free to Cotto for a long time. I had the
yes.
unibrow. It was crazy.
I definitely had a unibrow, which is an interesting thing because I am kind of like ginger. So usually people with very fair skin and very fair or very light hair don't have hair like that. But I'm
Mhm.
also Italian. So I'm also, I had a unibrow when I was a kid. My mom started putting me in modeling. And so I was getting my eyebrows waxed and I was, doing all this thing. But I've always had uneven brows. I always have had one straight one and one like really arched one because I have a dent in my forehead. Like I literally can't fix
Oh,
it. It's just how it is. I have a dent on this side of my forehead. But I went to my mom one day and I was like, my brows are out of control. Like, I think I was in like eighth grade. She was like, oh, like, I'll help you. Pop Girl literally plucks from my arches down to my tails off. Gone, never to be seen again. And she's like, I'll teach you how to fill in your brows. She gives me like this like pomade. I don't even know what it was. I want to say it was like an Anastasia kit, like when they had like the stamps that you could fill in.
yeah.
That's what she gave me, and I started wearing that kit.
Oh,
I was
oh
on every
no.
single day because I had no tails for like months because my mom plucked them off. So then, I kept plucking them in that shape until they grew back, and then that's when the Instabrow came, and I plucked the entire front of my brows off so that they would grow straight instead of to the side.
Yeah.
Because brow gel, who is she? I don't know. I just thought that I would just pluck my eyebrows off, and then I was so accomplished because everyone was like, "How did you get your brows like that? How'd you do that?"
I'm
I
weak.
Yeah, girl, it's been a journey. The James Charles brow, like, if there was a brow trend, I've been through it. I'll tell you that much.
The James Charbrow should have never been a trend. That was a shame to the brow
Shame,
community.
shame to me.
Shame, because I did it too.
My friends in high school, you were preying on my downfall. I know it because I remember people being like, your brows are so good, babe. Like, you ate that up, you slayed. And now I look back and I'm like, you are so fake.
Like, just tell me you hate me, and like, just tell me you hate me and go. It's
But
okay.
at the same time, like we go back and that was the trend. Like that
It
was
was.
what everyone was doing. So I guess maybe at the time I did have good brows, but I don't know. I
What
look
was it? It was like
back and I'm
it's
like,
called like
what
block
was I
brows.
doing? Yes,
Yeah.
block brows.
Ugh.
Literally so bad. My hometown went through a phase that we call sperm brow, which I also had, which is like
Yeah.
the circle front and then the really curvy tails. Also
Yeah.
have that, if there was a brow trend, I have been through it. So talking about my personal experience, I do kind of want to talk about like the timeline of all of that. So obviously we had the skinny brow, which I do kind of feel like came from like the Mexican culture. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Like
it
the
was
skinny
also
brow,
Pamela. Yeah, I think it was that, and I think it was Pamela Anderson too, like Baywatch era, Pam
right?
Anderson, like the Chola makeup. I think it was all of that.
Yeah, I remember seeing, pictures of my mom in high school and she's got like the super, super skinny brow and the white brow bone and she slayed. But yes, the skinny brow from the 90s. And then I just feel like into dip brow, but there was that moment in like 2010 where it was like dip brow was everything. And if you didn't have dip brow and using it incorrectly, like what were you doing?
Correct. I think it was what's her name? Anastasia Norvina, I think is her name, right? The owner of
Right.
ABH. She went on Oprah. So if you can like YouTube this, look this up. So Anastasia was like working in California at the time, and she was working at this like it wasn't a brow bar. I think it was just like a salon or a spa or whatever. And she talks about how she was doing brows and things like that. And she was the first person, like legitimately at that time, the first person to kind of figure out like the golden lines of the brows with the front, the arch, and the back. And
Mhm.
she was shaping brows to people's faces. And like that wasn't a thing. That it was the time of like the skinny brows. And I think it was like Oprah or somebody who was working at Oprah who whispered in Oprah's ear and was like, hey babe, this is what's going on. Like somebody got back to Oprah. She was on the Oprah show once take a shot every time I say Oprah. And she was the one that like explained face framing and popularizing brow shaping rather than just going on trend and having skinny brows and plucking them all out of your face.
So we love that for her. We love her for reeling us back in.
Thank you,
Even
Anastasia.
yeah, even if we misused the dip brow, like she did her best. She really did.
You know what? I still don't know how to use dip brow right though. I never
I
ended up learning.
I remember she posted and she was like, "It's not my fault you guys misused the dip brow because I think it's supposed to be kind of like almost a paint where you paint the hair stroke." And we just went straight in with it. It was like a while ago, a couple years ago. She's like, "Not my fault that you guys used it wrong."
I feel like I only use dip brows on my tail over here. And I feel like I only really fill in the tail anyway. My brow does the Insta brow thing where you
Right.
just have the feathered brows in the front and then kind of like go straight into the back. So I fill in the ends because it's not super dark down there. I'm
Mhm.
still in my Insta brow phase, unfortunately.
Honestly, if you do it right, you do it right, you know.
Yeah.
But the black brow on skin tone, my color, there was no reason absolutely at all that I was using dark brown for my brow color. Like, be so serious.
You know who brought it back and made it legit though?
Who?
Cara Delevingne.
Right. And I remember when she started, like, she was peak and it was like the natural brow and it wasn't even fluffy brow. It was just like not the box brow. And I remember being like, this is my moment. This is
Yeah.
literally my moment.
Yeah, I remember at first I wasn't like super into the Cara Delevingne brow. I was like, I don't know if I love this. Like, we just need to clean it up a little bit because I'm very much I need to have my brows clean. Like right now, the fact that they're not, I'm looking in the monitor and I'm like the fact that they're not and they're not perfectly shaped is stressing me out. For me, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a lot. And then it was super dark too, and she's like very blonde. I don't know if it's
Right.
natural or not, but so it was just a lot. And I'm kind of into it now. I like the dark eyebrows on like super fair skin.
That's why I was like, this is my moment. I used to have silver white hair. Against that, my brows were very dark. So I was like, yes. But at the same time, I was still in the like dip brow moment. So that's kind of when the James Charles block brow kind of came in too. And I just kind of mixed them all together and had brows this forehead. I feel like the natural brow is kind of where the lamination kind of came in. Like natural brow was a thing for a while, like naturally God given beautiful brows. And then we started fluffing them up. And then that's where the lamination kind of came in when like the 2020 era and it went insane. I call them Grinch brows or bird brows.
Oh, you know what though? You're kind of right. It does look like the Grinch because people
It
were
does.
going hard with that soap brow.
It was straight up. It was literally straight up.
It wasn't even the Grinch. It was like the one of the characters from the Grinch. It was I think the president or something who has the straight up brow. No, I did that. I did that for so long, and my
Honestly,
brow
I
hairs
did
are
too.
long.
For my
Like
first headshot in school, I brushed my brows straight up with a Elmer's glue stick because we were learning how to block brows at the time. It's like this is a slay. Brush
I
them
ate.
straight up.
She's like, I ate. This is fire. Look at
This
this.
is so fire. The makeup was fire, but the brows, like I'm telling you, the brows ruin it for me every single time. I
That's
have
yeah.
brow blindness. Literally
I
have
get
brow
it.
blindness.
I understand that completely. No, I here's the thing. I get my eyebrows threaded quite a bit. So whenever the soap brow thing came in, I remember I was getting my eyebrows threaded in high school like crazy. And I was trying to do the soap brow, but my brows at that point were too short to go straight up. So I remember freaking out because I was like, I can't get the brows that I want. And then I would let them grow and I was like, well, now they're too long. So I was in a constant loop of never actually being able to do the soap brow. Now I do it and I'm like not super into it. I just leave my brows, I think, the way they are. I only use the clear gel. I will say when I was doing the soap brow thing, I wasn't using the bar or like the ABH wax. This is not a plug, but I was using the Benefit 24-hour eyebrow gel because that was like next level down from got to be glue. It still is, and I still use it. That will stick. It's not sticky, but oh my god, if you want to have your hair standing straight up, that's the one.
That's so funny. I don't know if I remember I used their clear brow gel, but it would flake on me. So I don't.
They made this one after because I was using that one and I didn't like it. They made this after. It literally has the consistency of Elmer's glue. Like it's a thinner version of Elmer's glue. And I wish I had it on me right now. I think it's in the one that I use in my kit is in my kit right now. You pull it out and it's a flat side. Oh, you know what? This is the closest thing to it. Hold on. For anybody who's watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm talking about. But it's the Charlotte Tilbury wand, right? So it has that flat side and it's got like these little bristles. So kind of like this style, but it's flatter and it's wider. So you pull out product and you like lay it down and then you brush it out and it's got like short bristles and long. Dude, this thing is crazy and it is flat out just glue.
So interesting. I have never tried that. I was in the brow freeze phase and then that was too expensive, so I got the NYX brow glue, which I
Oh
loved.
yeah.
I still love the NYX brow glue. When I was like laminating my brows and like pressing them down every day, I was using that.
Before using the Benefit one, I feel like they never stuck. Like they were always, and at least with the Anastasia one, they would always stand up. Like they would always end up
Right.
coming forward. So I don't know if
Yeah.
I was doing it wrong or somebody else was doing it wrong.
But I still feel like laminated brows are in. I know a lot of people that still do the laminated brow, but they obviously kind of just like lay the brow down rather than brushing it straight up. I'm so happy that that's kind of over now. I feel like brow gel and just like the natural brow is kind of in again, but again, I still feel like thin brows are coming back with like the resurgence of Y2K.
I don't hate it. Okay, what are your thoughts on the brow lamination process? Because doing your brows and like laminating them with the wax and whatever you use now versus laminating them, I feel like they look totally different. I've done both, and I would prefer to just do it myself and not get them laminated.
Honestly, I haven't had my brows laminated. I've wanted to,
It
but
smells.
really? Oh yeah, 'cause
It
it's like a
smells
perm,
like a
right?
perm. It's gross.
Yeah, I like to have my brows just like different every day, kind of, or just like not as straight. So I don't know. Like, I honestly really do like the kind of laid brow look. I do it on some of my brides, and I feel like it just looks like so clean if you do it right and you kind of fluff it with some extra product. I would rather just do that, honestly. I do have some brides that have laminated brows, but for some reason they're kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say crusty because it's not
Yes.
crusty, but it's like kind of crusty.
No, it's
So,
crusty. I did it once and I was on vacation. I went on vacation. That's why I got it done. I got a wax, a tint, and a lamination. My friend was working at Ulta, or she's not my friend anymore. She was like, "Look, I just need to practice on somebody. They want to like do a test because she was licensed and everything. She was like, Benefit just wants to do a test. Can you come in? You can get it for free. Like, don't worry about it. Just come in and be my model." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yo, this stinks and I'm not having a good time. I don't love the way brow tinting looks on me because it fills the entire brow with brown, which I only do the end. So, like, what's the
mhm.
point? And then the lamination, fine, whatever. But you wash your face a couple times, but you can't even, it's like when you have the fake lashes, the lash extensions, you cannot wash those. You cannot wash your face when you do all that. Like, you can't wash your eyebrows. You can't wet them for, I think, 24 hours. And even then, they tell you, like, try to avoid washing your brows. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to avoid washing my brows? The more you wet them, like the more gross they get. And it was just, I don't know. I'm not into it. I'll just
Yeah,
do it daily.
I just feel like I feel kind of the same way about lash extensions. Like, I just rather pop on a lash when I want to. I have
Yeah.
lash extensions. I cannot handle it. Like, I got them for vacation and I was seriously like rubbing my eyes. Like,
Yeah.
it was not good.
I'm afraid that I'm going to be allergic to them. That's why I haven't done it yet. So I'm allergic to a lot of lash glues and so a lot of mascaras and eyeliners and stuff. Like for some reason, my eyes are just really sensitive. I'm allergic to my contacts. Okay, my eyes are just really ridiculously sensitive that I'm afraid that if I get lash extensions, I won't have eyes. I have lashes on now. I have fake lashes on now. I can use the Lily Lash glue for some reason, but I bought those Kiss extension lashes.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you something. I don't know whose mom said that this was so easy to do and it's so much cheaper than getting lash extension. First of all, it's difficult. I was stabbing myself in the eye with a band. Like, unless it's user error at that point. But like I thought I did them right. I watched a couple tutorials and I was like, okay, I can do this. No. No, I can't do that. And then you're like blink and you can feel it on your eyelid.
Right. I have wanted to try those. It's a trend to kind of like ditch your lash tag and get the clusters and glue them on with the bond. But I don't know. I feel, first of all, like, I just feel like it's kind of unhealthy for your lashes and your literal waterline to like have
Yeah.
bonded clusters. Like, that's my personal opinion. I feel like either get it professionally done or just like don't mess around with, your eyeball,
And
even if it's a
chemicals.
trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's
Chemicals.
a trend.
Honestly though, okay, here's the thing, right? I think we should stop. Oh, I have to plug in my laptop. I think we should stop making it a trend to ditch your professionals who get licenses to do these things. Let's talk about that really quick. We have a whole bunch of other things to talk about, but it's like a punishment. Holy shit. So for those of you who well, obviously I'm not gonna put in everything that just happened, but a little bit of technical difficulties because everything just decided to collapse on me and like stop working and just so that's fine, I guess. That's
It's
life.
it's it's the blue moon.
Is it? Wait, is it actually?
Tonight's the blue moon, I think.
Oh my god, it's the moon. It's all the moon's fault. How dare it?
How dare it?
Mm. Let's stop ditching our licensed and certified professionals. I don't know why this is a trend. I feel like we did it with hair artists too. I feel like that was a big thing where everybody was just bleaching their hair, just stark white and just coloring it and doing all of these different things to it. And now my friend who does my hair, she's like, people keep coming in with the most botched box dye, bleach, colored Arctic fox hairs that when they want to do a color correction, it comes up 8 different colors. It doesn't just pull up one, it pulls up 10.
First of all, you're calling me out.
Oh,
Um,
I box dyed my hair black once and I got yelled at by my hair tech before this one.
I used to bleach my hair completely on my own for years. Years. That's how I got silver because no other hairstylist would do it for me because they were like, "Babe, your hair is gonna fall out of your head," and I was like, "No, it's not."
How do you have hair now?
And now I have hair. In 2020, in the middle of COVID, I was doing my routine 4-week bleach touch up. I used to bleach my hair every 4 weeks because Roots, we don't know her. And I was doing it at my sister-in-law's house. I put on a shower cap and went outside in southern Utah in the summer. It burned my hair off. I literally got in the shower and my hair was falling down the backs of my legs. So that was when I decided I would never ditch a professional to save a little bit of cash because I
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that'll
now
do it.
and now my hair is healthy and long, but we went through a moment. I remember going to Thanksgiving and my aunt was like, "Why is the back of your hair short and the rest of it's long?"
Hey, so don't look at my shower drain. LOL.
It's it's called chemical layers. Get with the trend.
Yeah, there's a reason these people have licenses, and this goes for anything. This isn't just like beauty things. This is just general. There's a reason licensed professionals have licenses because a lot of the time they have to work with chemicals. They've studied the chemicals and they've studied what to do if something goes wrong or how much is too much and how you can test on each person. Let the professionals do, and that includes makeup artists. And I feel like, okay, we'll go back to the trends in a second, but I just wanted to say this. I feel like with the rise of social media, not that makeup artists have become obsolete, because obviously not. There's so many of us, and like we all do so many different jobs. I do feel like it's more of a trend. If we fall under that trend sometimes of like, did your makeup artist learn how to do it on your own? And then you realize it doesn't come out as good until we do it. But
That's the thing, it never turns out as good. But I also kind of want to mention, like, we are in a modern Great Depression, so I'm not
mhm,
dogging y'all for ditching your professional because they are luxury services and we can't all
yes,
afford luxury services, but please
yeah,
don't mess with chemicals around your eyes and on your hair unless you want to be like me and have your hair
yeah.
literally fall out of your scalp. So pick and choose your battles.
Choose your battles. If you're going to ditch your professional, at least
The
do the
research.
research on how to do the chemicals, and maybe don't ditch the ones that use chemicals.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Budget.
I feel like
I think we should budget
budget. I
first.
feel like we should budget. We should have a beauty budget. Like, no, you're right. It's the modern Great Depression. We're in the worst recession since 2008, I think.
No,
But
yeah, it's bad.
so we get it. But like, if you're gonna do it, be let's just we're not responsible for any bad decisions you make because of things that we say. That's
For
it.
entertainment purposes only. Okay, so that was a little tangent, but I do kind of want to talk about the skin makeup trends
Hmm.
that we've been seeing because I feel like just makeup as a whole has gone through a whole evolution of what most people are wearing. The matte skin and the skinny brows. We have in our notes that it was during like the 30s and also the depression.
Oh yeah.
Um full lips, red lips, things like that. I love learning about like even before then, like way, way, way before like Renaissance times and like things like that, like pale skin and really rosy cheeks were in and
I think it was like
like
lead. It
yeah,
was like
like
lead makeup.
using lead for your eyeliner and using raspberries for blush.
I know there. Oh, I know there's a bug. No, okay. So I think I learned this from working at Sephora. Apparently, there's like a bug that was used way back when. I don't know the name of it. I think it was like a form of a cockroach or something or a beetle that
Ew.
they were crushed up. It created a chemical that made the red last longer. So that chemical apparently still exists and it's still used in a lot of reds now. What I learned, if a brand can't be labeled as like clean, now this is not true for every brand. I don't know the name of the chemical and I don't know if this is still in practice. If a brand can't be labeled clean or vegan, it's because it uses this colorant. I don't want to say chemical. So it uses this colorant that is similar or from extracted whatever from this beetle that gives the red color. Obviously, we've come a long way since then, so like it's probably not in practice as much anymore. It's like the equivalent of like a true red mica.
So interesting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting to figure out like where these things actually come from. And I mean, again, in the beginning of time, we're using fruits to color our skin. Like it's so
Yeah.
interesting and how far it's come.
I
Um,
think I think it's Cleopatra. Sorry, this is like where I again I've delved into the history of this for many, many years, and I'll go back to the sheet in a second and our topics. But I think it was Cleopatra that made the blue eyeshadow like the big thing. And if I'm
right.
not mistaken, again, I could be totally lying. All of that I'm telling you is probably false, but I'm almost positive it's not. She used crushed up lapis lazuli, I think it's pronounced, crystal. Like literally
Okay.
crushed it up and I think mixed it with like honey or water or something. And that's why she always had that like blue eyeshadow and like why in Egyptian times or in that culture that color was like very popular because Cleopatra was the one that was using these gems and these stones and these colorants to create that. Or even the kohl eyeliners that we know today in a
Right.
pencil form. Those came from, ooh, I forgot where, but I know it, I think it's like Middle Eastern countries, like the coal burning I forgot what it is, but you burn this thing and then you flip it upside down. It's been trending on TikTok like crazy. You flip it upside down and you let, I guess the ash or whatever goes up or it goes down, wherever it is. I think you cover it and the ash goes down and you use that and you like take the stick or like a bone or whatever it is and you close your eye over and you go like that. And that is coming back, but that's also been a popular makeup trend in Middle Eastern cultures for so long. Even brands like Makeup Forever or Inglot have been bottling that essentially and selling it as a pencil.
I mean, that's the thing is we still use trends from Egyptian times, like the eyeliner and the when red lips started to be a whole thing, like a red lip will forever and always be good. Like it's like
Yeah,
we still use all of those trends and all of those things.
we do, and it's still beautiful. So, like we were saying, skinny brows, matte skin, all of that came from the 1930s during the Depression. It was more of a way to feel like still luxurious, kind of like what we were talking about now with the Depression, like the recession that we're having now, and how everybody's like learning how to do their own makeup so they can like feel good and not have to like feel like it's a luxury to go to a professional, get your hair dyed or your brows done, whatever. This was their version of that. So they were doing this like super matte lip and these big red lips and like the doll eyes and the skinny brows and all that to just feel like there's a sense of luxury to like daily life, or at least the celebrities wanted to feel like that this was a semblance of luxury that they can have. But there's something called the lipstick effect. Kind of really was prevalent during the Great Depression that we've seen more and more often, especially in 2008. I think there was a study that was done in '08 or '09 or something like that during the recession, that the one thing that shot up every time the economy was down was cosmetics purchases. So specifically red lipsticks. So it's just a sense of luxury. It's a little luxury that's somewhat inexpensive that you can have for yourself. So people are sacrificing large luxuries like cars. I don't know. I wasn't alive. I don't know what they were giving up. Bigger luxuries that they couldn't have, and switching over to these little luxuries like a good red lipstick because it made them feel good at the time when like they didn't have much.
I feel like that's so true. I didn't even think about that. Like lipstick, I feel like, and that's another trend that I've been seeing, like as the kind of clean girl and kind of like minimal makeup kind of fizzles out, like maximalist makeup is coming back in. And I feel like
Yeah.
that does have a lot to say about the economy. Like
Yeah.
people are, they want to stand out, they want to feel good, they want to, because everything around us is kind of not the best. So
Yeah.
that's so interesting. I didn't even, yeah, a lot of the makeup trends have a lot to do with the economy and kind of I don't know, just like the overall world at the time.
I think it's why the Y2K, like for lack of a better name, like trashy chic, McBling era is coming back, is because that all happened in the early 2000s when we had that whole recession, the housing crisis, and everything like that. We're kind of back into that now. Recession pop is coming back. Clubbing culture is coming back. All of that is coming back. It just makes sense that all of those things are coming back from a time. I mean, to be fair, I was a small child. I was 8 years old. I was not part of that. So I am grateful that I get to experience that maybe in a different capacity than like millennials or I don't know who came before them, but people in that age range might have experienced it. But it like we said, it goes to show what's going on because you're giving up these larger luxuries, whether it be large travel or all of these different things, you're giving that up to just enjoy the small things like going out with your friends or buying the lipstick or standing out, getting a cute outfit, things like that.
I want to also talk about the Y2K makeup. I don't think that the Y2K exactly, like the trashy chic, is gonna exactly come back in the way that it was first saw, but I
Yeah.
do remember being in middle school during the time, and I probably didn't even make this to the full effect. The infinity scarves and like the orange foundation because shade
God.
ranges were just not there, and the UGG boots and eyeliner and nothing else. Like
hmm
that probably, I mean, maybe it'll come back, but I don't really see it, like the frosty lip and all of that coming back.
No,
The
that
frosty lip is
concealer lip.
coming back, actually.
th-
The concealer lip is
Listen,
coming back.
I made one myself. Okay, like I'm releasing this at some point. I have it. I'm actually gonna put it back on because I used to shit on it. Oh, I broke it. Well, fuck me. All right, well, hold on. I'm gonna just retouch that real quick. But that frosty baby pink concealer lip, that's coming back. But it's, I think, okay, before the Y2K trend really started coming back, the only time I ever heard anybody come into Sephora or ask me as a client for the concealer lip was anybody over the age of like 29. It's
Right.
always been people who are much older than me, but were like in their 20s or early 30s. And my God, it's kind of ugly unless you have a brown lip. Problem was, they weren't wearing brown lip liner around that. So they were just
No.
walking around with flat out concealer on their lips. Dry, crusty, like concealer. And people still come in. I've heard people like I don't obviously don't work at Sephora anymore, but I've walked in and I've heard people talking to advisors being like, "Hey, do you guys have this like baby pink flesh color lipstick?" Like, no, they all discontinued that except for MAC, who brought it back. MAC brought back Flesh Pot. Apparently, they brought it back for like their anniversary, or I think it was like National Lipstick Day or whatever. They brought it back. I think that might be the only one of the only colors like it right now on the market because they all got discontinued in the early 2010s. But that's where Lip Lab came in and things like that, where people could make the colors that they wanted.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I've worked at Lip Lab for over 3 years now. There was a time, I think it was like maybe a year and a half ago, where almost like every like 1 in 5 people were coming in asking for the concealer lip. Like we were literally mixing like light brown, white, and like a little bit of like this whitish pink color. And people were like, exactly. Yep. Give it to me. Buy it right this moment. Like I thought it was god awful, but you know, people were buying it, and I was like, what is going on? Like, because
Yeah.
I never participated in the concealer lip trend because I am very pale and I've always liked a little bit of color on my lip. So I've never loved that. But I was having like really young girls come in and ask for this really, really, really light pink sparkly lip gloss. And I was like, what? What is going on? I can't believe the frosty lip is coming back. Like it's, I don't know. I have people asking for like sparkly lip gloss for their bridal look. And it might not be, like I said, it might not come on as like full-fledged as it was at the time, but like nude lips are like all people want. My perfect nude, my perfect nude. That's all I hear. And then they want like
Yeah.
a sparkly lip gloss on top. Like it's so funny.
I used to get that question all the time. I need to find my perfect nude. And honestly, I'm gonna be real. I think everybody's got their own perfect. Whoa, there's a trick that went around on the internet that I can't. Oh, it's the and this is actually yeah, it's the tip of the finger. What is it? The index finger or the ring finger? I think it's the ring finger.
I don't remember. I
I think
remember the nipple thing.
oh yeah. Well,
Everyone
I
check your boob.
mean, like I wouldn't call that my natural nude color, but yeah, okay. But I know the tip of the finger one for me at least, 100% was my perfect nude. I actually had somebody, this is actually not a joke, this is so funny though. I had somebody come into Sephora one day looking for her perfect nude, and she was like, I just don't know. I heard about the tip of the nipple thing. And I was like, right. And her boyfriend's standing there. And she's like, I don't know if you want to look. I'm like, no, I'm okay. So she was like, I have a picture. This I can't make this up. This is like real. She was like, I have a photo that I took of myself so I could see. And her boyfriend again is standing right there, and he's like, yeah, she did. Blah. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. So I was like, it's really. I was like, is that the color that you want? She's like, I really want that color in a lipstick. So I looked at her boyfriend. I was like, do you mind if I look? And she's like, I'm sorry if this makes you uncomfortable. I'm like, honestly, you probably got the only person in this place that it wouldn't make uncomfortable. So
No.
she ended up showing me her nude. And she zoomed in, like she showed me the whole thing, and then she zoomed in on her nipple, like close enough that you like wouldn't be able to see if somebody else was looking at her phone.
Right.
And we found the shade. We
That's
legit
insane.
found her shade. There were two. It was Makeup Forever. I don't remember the exact shade, but it was like this pinky brown color. It was like it was almost Pillow Talk, but I think it was a little lighter than Pillow Talk.
So
Or
funny.
no, a little darker than Pillow Talk.
I totally believe that story because working at Lip Lab, I've had multiple people be like, "Can you match my nipple?" I'm like, "Man, this is we're in a mall right now. We're ma'am,
We're in public.
we're in public.
Like
clocked in right now."
like people have no boundaries. Honestly, I was very grateful that she gave me a photo. I was fine with the photo. I had a feeling she was just gonna whip out her boob at one point. I was like, we cannot do this.
Like,
Oh my god, Bella's joining us.
yes, Bella's been sitting on my lap for the past hour and a half. She will not leave
Bella.
me alone. So
Me
Bella
too.
says hi.
Oh my god, look at that little. I want one. I want a dog so bad.
I tried to put her on the chair next to me, but the leg is broken and she fell. So now,
Oh no.
yeah, I was so sad. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sad. And I gave her a treat, and now I'm just letting her sit on me. So
I was watching somebody's dog recently, and like I accidentally stepped on him. Let me tell you something. That little like bark they let out when you step on them just breaks my heart.
I know she's my baby, so It's fine.
I understand. So we're gonna go back on topic now, real quick. But no, so you have the Y2K. I don't think you're right. I don't think we'll ever experience it to the full extent. I think a lot has changed since then. And like we have a better understanding of skin tones and everything like that. What came back for a very brief stint of time, the 2014 YouTube guru era. I don't know if you remember seeing that around. It was only a couple weeks. I think it was only like maybe 3 weeks. I saw everybody redoing their old looks from 2016. And it was just like the big, colorful James Charles palette, Morphe palettes, this one, that one. And and that was less about skin. I feel like it was just matte skin and like too much
Yeah.
bronzer and
Yeah.
hella highlight, which hasn't really left. The highlight thing hasn't really left. It's just
Girl,
evolved.
the way that I bathed myself in highlighter during that time.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, that was such a time to be alive. Like, I like,
It's true. It was very Tumblr. It was very like, yeah. It was I feel like it's the origins of makeup as we know it now. And as
yeah,
bad as it might have been, some of it, like that is the where the makeup that we know now is kind of stemming from.
right. I just feel like a lot of makeup artists now, like professionals, us, like that's where our love for makeup grew, and it's kind of where it came like it became normal to be like a makeup enthusiast because there was people online making real money with makeup. At the time it was like either work at Mac or don't even touch makeup ever.
Yeah. Or Sephora. The big one was Sephora because remember they used to only have to be licensed or they had to have some
Right.
sort of background in like a certification or a background or like they had to have been a professional in some aspect to work at Sephora. Now it's
Right.
not much like that. Like you can whatever. It was like if you don't work at one of these stores, don't touch any of this.
Right. Like don't. It was so I don't even want to say like gate kept, but like it just like wasn't normalized to like wear makeup in that way or
It
to
was
like
almost like shamed, I think. And
yeah,
I don't know, that was me. I felt like I was shamed every time I put it on. I also went to an all girls Catholic school that I wasn't allowed to wear makeup at except for like velvet teddy because nobody knew that I mean, on me, it looked white as shit. But nobody knew, oh, you're wearing lipstick or like you're wearing mascara. Like you could wear those two and that was it. Otherwise, you were, for lack of a better phrase, a skank or a slut.
right. I mean, that's the thing is like I remember so my mom, she got married in the early 2000s. And at that time, you would do your makeup for the club or whatever, but like that was it. Like she didn't have a makeup artist do her makeup for her wedding. Like people didn't do that. Like it was a little bit of like tinted chapstick and some mascara maybe, but you wanted it to look like you weren't wearing makeup. I feel like that 2017 era like it really kind of liberated I just feel like women as a whole and the gays and the theys everybody got the chance to be a makeup artist and like
Yeah.
be an influencer and like do whatever they wanted and express themselves in that way even though a lot of the makeup we did was trash because we are who we are but I remember putting on like Nikki tutorials and just like watching her all
Yeah.
night and just being mesmerized by you know the work that she did and she had hooded eyes like me and like it was just like that time where you could see people look like you and do things and it gave you the confidence to try it. I know that we make fun of it a lot, but I just feel like that was such a great time for makeup.
It was. It was a great time for makeup. It was a great time to really learn. I think it's the first time too that you had content creation as a real job.
Right.
It's the first time that content creation and makeup in that capacity, like you said, had become a quote unquote real job. It had really changed the way that, like we said, viewed makeup, viewed these people. I think it also allowed for me growing up. So I love James Charles. I did love Jeffree Star. I love making tutorials. I think it was also a place for girls who weren't white, who were my shade, darker than me, to finally like it was hard at first. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have that many artists that looked like me or had the same skin tone as me. We had Manny, but Manny was fairly light skinned. And like it was a little bit harder to find somebody in my range, but then you had somebody like Jackie Aina and Nima, I think it's like Nima Tang, I believe is her name, Nima Tang. They gave visualization and voices to Black makeup artists. Nima Tang gave the like very, very, very dark girls somebody to actually look at and see, oh, I can use makeup. I just have to use it like this. Or I can use what this girl is using, but it's going to look like this on me. And Jackie Aina was just like everything. Like she totally gave everything all the time.
I feel like it also held brands accountable because
Yeah.
so many people were watching, and there would be influencers like that would be like, what is this? Why are we only having 3 shades? You know what I mean? Like that time just really, really, really changed the makeup industry into how we know it.
Well, you also had the rise of Fenty Beauty at that time, and now we're at the fall of
Right.
Fenty Beauty. But now we're at that point, it was the rise of
Why?
Fenty Beauty.
Why do I
I'm
not know
sorry.
that Fenty Beauty's falling?
She's Rihanna is no longer the CEO of Fenty Beauty. Allegedly.
What are you talking about?
Allegedly. I might be spreading rumors, but as far as I'm aware, Rihanna is not CEO of Fenty Beauty anymore. Or she's like part of it, but she's not like as in it as she was before.
There's gonna be an album drop or what? Because like
That's what I heard. I don't know. But that I've
Rihanna,
been hearing that
Rihanna, don't do this to me, babe. Like
it's one of those things that it's like we had Rihanna, right? Well, I only say that because her new line came out of I think it was blushes or something like that. Something just came out and I forgot the influencer. She's a South Sudanian, a South Sudan woman. And she bought them or she was sent them and she put them on her skin. She's fairly dark. She's not super dark, but she's just fairly dark. I would put her in like the dark deep range. Or at least deep. And she swatched it on her to ashy, like white, each color. And somebody commented, like a few people commented, yeah, like Robin left. Like Robin is like not in charge anymore. She's like in charge, but she's like not in charge. So she's only doing so much. And I'm like, I don't know how much I believe TikTok comments, but
damn.
but she was the one that revolutionized the foundations. What was it? The first 60 shades. That was like the first time that a brand had that many shades. And granted, they were all orange. Like all the undertones in them are orange, or they oxidized to orange, is what it was. The formula could have been better, but it was still iconic. 60 shades of foundation. I think it was like 50 something shades of concealer. She just blew it out of the park right away. The contour sticks that worked on everybody's skin tone, the blush sticks that worked on everybody, everything, one after the other. I own Penny for Your Thoughts, I think it's called. And it's this gorgeous bronze highlight color that I have never seen something like this before. And it's meant for women with darker skin tones to actually have a highlight that isn't gold and doesn't look ashy.
Right.
She was the one that revolutionized it. So it is kind of sad to see that.
That's the thing. I feel like we need influencers and creators and CEOs of companies to move the industry forward and kind of push the industry forward. We went through such a big jump, I feel like, from the 2014 2017 makeup into like the 2020 barely there makeup. I don't even really know why that happened. Maybe Miss Hailey Bieber. Maybe
it was Hailey. It was 100% Hailey because this was like the rise of Hailey Bieber. This was during, if I'm not mistaken, this might have been during or before the wedding of Justin Bieber. They were together and she was kind of on the rise. She was kind of milking being with him. And then we saw her nonstop. And I think this was around the Brown scandal, no? Or was that like 2 years ago? I don't know. I'm losing out. I'm forgetting all of her different scandals. I think we were thrusted into the pandemic. And I think it was such a shock that people were like, well, I still want to look nice, but I don't want to do all that. Where the pandemic for me made me put more makeup on because I was like, I don't want to play with this. But we were leaving that era of heavy everything and kind of moving to, well, I'm home. I have no choice but to be home. I'm gonna look nice. I'm just gonna put a little bit on. And like it was emphasizing that natural beauty because we kind of had no choice but be natural. Everybody had their roots going out and everybody had long hair. You had no choice but to be natural, so why not enhance it? I think that's kind of what it ended up becoming.
Right. I remember, like, that's the reason I used to wear a full face of makeup every single day until COVID hit. And now I wear like very minimal makeup unless I'm going out or something like that. That's honestly true. I didn't think about it that way because I just remember being like, I'm wearing a mask. Like, why am I going to put foundation on? I literally have
Exactly.
acne for the first time in my life. Like, why?
And
So,
no, it's exactly what it is. I think that's what ended up happening was that girl, was I was living and breathing NARS soft matte foundation every day in college. Are you kidding me? I was
right.
caked up. And that was the thing. Like that was actually a running joke in the organization that I was in the show that I was doing was like resident cake face. Like it legit was like a running thing. And I didn't even take it as an offense. I was like, yeah, you're right. I am the resident cake face.
You're like, period.
I'm the only one here who knows how to do makeup. You're right. It was just being thrown into that, and none of us, almost none of us that were wearing masks were in the medical field, so nobody really understood the struggle of like, okay, you're not supposed to have this on. You're gonna breathe back the bacteria, and you're gonna have acne, and it's gonna do all this stuff. The more that we were opening up our pores and continuing to wear foundation and everything underneath, we were making it worse for ourselves. So I think once we started realizing that, that's when everybody was like, "It's skincare time," even though that didn't help. But whatever.
It helped a little bit, but yeah, I had the way
It
that my
helps.
skin was screaming. It was screaming.
Yeah, the skincare did help like a little, but I still would like take it off and my whole chin. It was only my chin, and I was like, God, okay, what can you
But I
do?
mean, again, it's one of those things that kind of pushes us forward in the makeup community or the industry. Again, like I said kind of in the beginning, I feel like trends kind of mush together. So now
Hmm.
that we're out of COVID and we're out of all of that, we're not necessarily going back to 2014, and yes, trends come and go, but I feel like makeup as a whole, we've gone back into like the beginning of makeup, but we've just made it more sophisticated. We kind of mix those two together of like marrying our natural beauty with the art of makeup. And
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, now is my time to shine. I really, 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 really love, where the industry is going right now, especially in my industry for like bridal and everything. Like,
Hmm.
it's such an art. Like, 2014 showed makeup as an art, but now we're truly using it as an art and as a real job. And like, it's still 2017, but it's also, we're using it to enhance beauty. And I love it. It's
I'm gonna say this as I'm not talking about New York artists as a whole. I'm talking exclusively Staten Island and like some of New Jersey. I have seen what bridal artists do because we follow a lot of Las Vegas bridal artists and a lot of like the West Coast artists in general on the podcast and on the podcast page and on like I've seen it from Makall just in general. And this is why I like that we're on totally different coasts. Oh my god, the way that you guys do it looks so natural in comparison to the way that I see people doing it here. It is
there's
like,
definitely a spectrum.
yeah, I mean there's for sure a spectrum. Some of the most popular artists on the island have the 2016 base. Like
Really?
it's still super big here. Like yeah, there's certain ones not done by this particular artist who are more like how you and I have it, where it's a mix of both, or it's very 2020. It's very like lightweight and anything. I have seen from this particular artist and her assistants. And this is not bashing her. I honestly think it's really pretty. She does it in a way that it actually looks nice, but girl, it is full like white, almost white under here, super bright under here. This is totally carved. The hair is big and like it's just I was like, I feel like I am in a time machine and not in a bad way. Again, she does it really, really well. And obviously, these brides' makeup lasts forever. Like
Right.
I've seen photos from some of the people she's done makeup for people that I know, and I've seen them. I was like, oh, it's great, and it looks amazing in person. And I was like, wow, maybe like if we upgraded what we did in 2016, it might not be like it was so crazy. Like I saw that I was like, wow, I feel like I'm getting a blast from the past. And then every stereotype that you imagine from like Jersey Shore is absolutely true.
Again, like, I mean, I only know the industry here in Vegas, and there's definitely a spectrum. Like, there's people that do like super, super natural makeup, and there's people that do like the full on makeup. I actually haven't seen anybody that really does it like the Jersey way. Me and my friend have talked about it before. Like, the Jersey way, it's insane. Like, I don't even know, it's almost like touching drag
Yeah,
slightly.
yeah.
Um, which I know one artist here in Vegas that does that. One girl, and she works for a company and she doesn't even like take her own clients that way. So, but it touches a little bit into drag, like the whole carved everything. But it is also that's
Yes.
what I'm saying, like everything kind of just mushes together, and that's also a good thing because everybody has their own style rather than being like it's 2014, we all have the Instabrow, we all have the orange fall look. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true. It's true, and it like you said, it's such a spectrum, but like Jersey makeup does touch drag. You're absolutely not wrong. It's like
right.
damn near drag. This is not us or me shitting on anybody who does that. You do you, babe. I see it more here than I do anywhere else. I don't even see it outside of Staten Island in the other boroughs. I really genuinely don't. It's solely Staten Island that I see this. And like
So
Jersey.
interesting. It's such an interesting thing just to see like even the trends like throughout the country. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
West Coast versus East Coast and you know all of that. Like it's so interesting how just like the trends cycle or just how it's like a different look. Like I guess I can talk about Utah has a look. I don't know if you've been on like Utah TikTok before, but it has a look. Like all of the girls have a certain look that I mean, I probably have that kind of look too, but it's just so interesting how you can almost tell like where someone is from by the way that they look.
I think the only exposure I have to like Utah TikTok besides like the Stanley Cup craze, that I swear to God, that's like one of the only Utah. I know Utah for a few things, and it's the cults that I watch the show for.
Oh my god, yeah.
Um, it's true. I know for that. I know for the Stanley Cup craze because I think it was like a couple Mormon influencers had like made it super popular. Which like I have one. I do love it. So like I have been influenced. Thank you. There's this girl who I guess is also from Utah. She's very funny. She's a comedian. She moved from Utah to LA, I think. She just makes a joke. She's like the ex Fundy baby in LA for the first time. And that's, I swear to God, my only experience with Utah ever.
I
I
mean,
don't know anything else.
it has its own lore. Like you'll have to look it up, but basically it just has its own look. It has its own vibe. It has which I'm guessing kind of the same way that, you know, Staten Island does. Like it just has its own everybody is a real housewife. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of
What
the vibe.
I was gonna say, what is the Utah vibe? Is it like Real Housewives? Is it like kind of like I guess the Mormon influencers that had made Stanley Cup? Is it kind of like that look?
Okay, so I'm trying to explain it without just like generalizing Utah as a whole. Not everybody's the same, but religion plays a huge influence in Utah. You know, so like everything is like modest, but they find ways to kind of like tweak the modern. Everybody has long hair, but also big hair, so it's modest and it's like all rule following is kind of the look. Like it looks almost like pilgrimy, but modern. Like if you made a pilgrim modern, which isn't a dig. Like it's not a dig, but it's like puffy shoulders and the long hair, but they have it curled in a way with the straight ends, and it's like voluminous. 40-inch bust down weave, like it's like a whole
40-inch bust down weave. That's crazy.
the longest blondest hair, and everybody just has that like perfect look. It's a very cookie cutter, perfect Mormon beautiful woman.
So
Like that's kind
what
of
you're saying is that I would stick out like a sore thumb if I walked in.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. Got it.
Even me being from Utah and still kind of having those influences just like kind of built within me. I'm now I'm not heavily tattooed, but heavily tattooed for someone from Utah. Yeah, you just stick out like a sore thumb. If you're not from Utah, it's very obvious that you're not from Utah. So
I open my mouth and everybody can tell I'm not from Utah. I open my mouth and everybody can tell I'm not from whatever state I'm in. Yeah.
right.
Like it's
So
very obvious for me.
like I feel like it's even obvious that I'm from Utah. I was in a hit and run. Long story short, I was able to like block this lady in, and she got out of her car and she came to my window and she's like, "You look like a nice churchgoer, like move and let me leave." And I was like, "I look like a nice churchgoer? Like what does that mean?" So that's what I'm saying, like the trends kind of follow you no matter where you go. I guess I look like I might be from Utah, which
I
it
feel
is what
like
it is.
you don't You don't look like you're from Utah. I mean, again, I don't know much about like looking like you definitely look like maybe Southwest, but that's still like New Mexico. It's still Las Vegas. I don't know. You have very gentle face features. I will say that. I feel like that's maybe the only thing that would get me like, oh yeah, this girl's probably not from like like the Northeast or like West. She's probably somewhere in the middle.
I'll take it. I'll own it because of these things, taken trends from other cultures or anything, but it's kind of pushed us to be accepting of everything and everybody, no matter what you look like or what you do or how you do your makeup, like regardless of everything else. I feel like the makeup industry has a lot to do with like all of the acceptance movements. Maybe I'm tripping over that, but I feel like it has.
I think it has. I think again, and like we were saying, it boils back to 2014 where someone like me didn't have a lot of people to look at when it came to makeup, and somebody like me, somebody darker than me, really didn't have many people. And then we finally got the brands finally got to see that like, hey, black and brown people exist. You need to make makeup that works for them too. Like that was the thing. And makeup artists were like, oh my God. Or like not all makeup artists, but like a good majority of makeup artists were like, oh, maybe I should learn how to do makeup on somebody who doesn't look like me. Like maybe I should give that a shot. And maybe I should learn how to match foundation better. And I shouldn't leave somebody who's in the dark, deep range of foundations walking out of my chair looking ashy. I've had to take off makeup before.
See, but we've come to a new time now that
Yeah.
hopefully people of all different skin tones can go and get their makeup done and feel
Right.
happy with the result rather than being like, I can't get my makeup done. I'm too fair or I'm too dark. Like
Yeah.
there's no perfect client anymore, which I love.
Right. Exactly. Going back to trends and kind of understanding that they come and they go so quickly. Whether it be fitness, body, makeup, food, like everything. Everything that you can imagine is a trend that goes in and out super quickly. Long story short, if you're going to look up a trend or do a trend that an influencer has put together, like, oh my God, this looks so good. And you see the comments basically being like, hey, this is a really old trend that like so and so did years ago. Like this is part of the black and brown community, or this is part of a recession or whatever. Look into it. Because a lot of the time, if you have somebody like Hailey Bieber or like any of these other influencers who are doing something like that, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, it's coming from a place of like history, so at least know the story behind it before you do it. Look how you want to look. Forget your state trends, forget the internet trends, the hair trends, the fitness trends, the food trends, the this, the that. Do whatever you want. You are not a trend, like we said at the beginning. Your body's not a trend, your face isn't a trend. Your hair can be a trend if you want it to be. Depends on how you diet. You are not a trend. Don't adjust all the time to what's trending. Do whatever it is, wear whatever it is that you want to do. Just understand the history of where some of it is coming from.
I feel like that's a great closing note for all of us. And I hope you got your beauty fix in this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Beauty Room Talk Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beauty Room Talk. If you want to submit your episode topic, feel free to submit it in the link in the show notes or leave it in the comments. Make sure to like this episode if you're watching on YouTube, or give the show 5 stars on your favorite audio streaming platform. If you want to follow me or find me on any social media, I am at by Makall. That's at BYMAKALL on all social media platforms. And Ashley, where can they find you?
So if you guys want to find me, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, all of the apps. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at amaricon.mua. So that's AMARIECON.MUA. I have my YouTube channel that I haven't updated, so you can find me on there, same handle. And if you saw the lip gloss that I liked, it's not out yet, but if you wanted to find out where it's from Narcissus Beauty, and you can find that at Narcissus Beauty Co. on Instagram and TikTok.
Well, we'll see you guys in 2 more weeks with our next episode. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye, friends!